نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. You don't need to panic. I can see a few worried faces that, is he going to do another hour and a half shot, inshallah. No, we're going to keep it back to our normal sort of schedule, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا, or those of you who believe, أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة. Or those of you who believe, spend from that which we have given to you. Meaning, this wealth, this body, the children, whatever that you've got, whatever you consider to be your assets, these have been given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In order to draw close to Him, in order to do business with Him, in order to trade with Him, in order to engage with Him. Why? Because this body, this wealth, these children, this brain, whatever skills you have, whatever assets you have, whatever strengths you have, these are finite. They will go. As we know, we can be a pretty sharp cookie. We learn so much in school. As soon as we come out of school, we struggle to, learn a couple of sentences, and we think, I used to study like 9-10 subjects at school. How did I manage to do that? Now I can't, study one thing anymore. So the brain starts to deteriorate. Obviously, as you get even older, you can't remember which day it is. Similarly, the body, strong in youth. As we get older, it gets weaker. We struggle. The chairs start filling the masjid. Can't make sajda, can't make ruku. So we lose that body strength. So in that way, once we develop this strength, once we develop this ability, once we have capacity to earn, once we have influence, wherever we are, and we get into a position of influence, where we can influence others, and as we get older, we start thinking of leaving a legacy. Leaving a legacy. Because whilst we're growing up, we don't necessarily think about legacy too much. But as you get to sort of 40s and 50s, the mortality syndrome kicks in. You start thinking about death more. When you're 20, you never even think about death. Some of our youngsters will drive in such a way, live in a certain lifestyle, that death is the last thing on their mind, as though death is frightened of them. And then as we flip that on 20 years later, we become frightened of death. And there's that mortality thing. And so now what we've got to be looking at is, when I'm gone, and that work that I've done will cease. I will no longer pray. I will no longer fast. I will no longer give zakat. I will no longer be reciting the Quran. That will all come to an end. What have I left behind which will continue that work? So alhamdulillah, we know whether a person teaches a good word, whether a person plays a part in an institute which exists after he has gone, all these things will be continuing to come back, and he will continue to reap the rewards of that. Why? Because there will come a day when all this will cease to exist, in that there will be no bait. You cannot transact anything now anymore. The till is closed. Wala khulla. Now you can't use friendship, use influence anymore. Whereas now you're in a situation, you can phone a friend, you can get some help. That no longer exists. Wala shafa'a. No one can intercede for you. So if you want to influence a person in particular in position of power, you might know somebody that they know. So you say, look, put a good word in for me. Let them know I'm all right, I'm a good worker, whatever the decision that we want in our favor, trying to get our child into a madrasa, whatever it is, we will use our influence. All that will cease. So we are being instructed that whilst you've still got breath, whilst you've still got life, whilst you're still alive, then these assets are going to go from you anyway. This very body that you cherish will be the food of the worms. The very money in your pocket, the cards, the bank accounts, there'll be people splitting that up. Your own clothes out of your wardrobe, people will be splitting up. Either sending them to a charity shop or deciding what they're going to do with them. Even the money in your pocket that you hung your trousers up that also will be distributed. So what you took great pride in is no longer even your possession anymore. So that was supposed to be used to invest for your sake, because now someone else is spending it. So you worked hard all your life, made sacrifices, missed salah, did not, go for Hajj, did not take the holidays, did not go for Umrah, kept saving, and then the angel of death comes and all that is now gone. وَالْكَافِرُونَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ Allahu la ilaha illahu. This ayah, that very famous ayah, according to some is considered as one of the most powerful ayahs in the Quran itself. Ayatul Kursi. Allah, there is no deity except Him. There is no God except Him. Now, we lived in a time where we used to, when I say we humans, used to make their gods. They used to make their gods. The Prophet ﷺ, Anbiya before him, would call towards monotheism, to abandon all other gods, and that this God is not a seen God. This God is not one that you can touch. This God is not one that you can sort of physically engage with in that way. So Shaitan even confused the humans with that, saying, okay, fine, this God is actually inside of you. You are the God. You decide. You decide what is wrong. You decide what is right. You decide what is good. You decide what is bad. Follow your desires in that way. Al-Hayyul Qayyum, the ever-living, the ever-eternal. La ta'khudhuhu sinatu wa la nawm. Sina, yani slumber. Like when we're struggling, mashallah, listening to a bayan, and the head's rocking, right? Many of you, mashallah, look at me with closed eyes. So to appease my ego, I think, mashallah, this brother is contemplating the words I'm sharing with him. Alhamdulillah. Little do I know, he's actually fast asleep. And then when he sees me, when he looks at me, he'll nod with approval that, yeah, mashallah, alhamdulillah. Did I get caught? Did I get away with it? We all know who you are. You don't need to put your hand up. But we know that when sleep overtakes us, then we make mistakes. Okay, we make mistakes. When we're tired, we make mistakes. I was just chatting to the chaps downstairs on the dastakhan. You can do without food for quite a while, actually. That's one thing you realize. You can go without water for quite a while. But you go without sleep for a day or 2 days, you stop functioning, your mind is not right, your body temperature's all over, you can make rash decisions, you're tired. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not require that. He does not slumber. Okay, so He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't make errors. He has no needs of this nature. وَلَا نَوْمٍ لَهُ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Then He shows His dominion, His power, His kingdom. That everything in the heavens and the earth are His. Both in terms of having power over them and milkiyah, possession, ownership. مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يَشْفَعُ عِنْدَهُ. Who is that person that will intercede except by His permission? Nobody will be able to come forward and say, oh Allah, let that person off. Oh Allah, forgive that person. Oh Allah, this person, that person. Unless He gives permission. Unless He grants leave. يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ. He knows that which is in front of them and what is behind them. Because time itself is a creation of Allah. And the creation of Allah cannot limit the Creator. Time is for us, so that we can say, oh, I'll see you tomorrow. What happened yesterday? So that young men can become old men. And there is a passage of time. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no such thing as time. That's why it becomes very difficult for us to understand free will and predestination. Because when we look at free will and predestination, we look at it from our perspective of time. And time is chronological, isn't it? That, does Allah know what I'm going to do tomorrow? If He knows what I'm going to do tomorrow, then am I going to get rewarded for it? Because if He put it in my predestination, why am I getting rewarded for it? Because it was already predestined for me. But if it wasn't predestined for me, did I choose to do that? What if I didn't do that? And then we start getting caught in this little, go down that rabbit hole, and we get confused. That's because we are looking at that on a chronological time framework. Allah does not work on that framework. And therefore we ascribe those same limitations that we face to Allah. We cannot ascribe those same limitations to Allah. He is the creator. لا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. There is nothing, okay, which encompasses him of his ilm except what he wills, meaning that Allah will only allow you to know of him what he chooses for you to know of him. So in reality, when we say, do we know Allah? Can we ever know Allah? Do we have the capacity to know Allah? You know, does this thing, which is the creation of man, know me? A man created this. Does this thing know me? Does the table have capacity to know me as a creation? So in reality, what we only find out is we find out who we are. That's how we know Allah, if that makes sense. Because we find out that we are servants. So we must have a master. Even though we cannot fully understand that. But once we understand our position, that's when we become more aware of who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. وَسِيَ كُرْسِيهُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. His kursi extends across the heavens and the earth. وَلَا يَؤُودُهُ حِفْظُهُمَا. And he does not tire safeguarding them. وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ. And he is the high, the powerful. لَا إِكْرَاهَ فِي الدِّينِ. There is no compulsion in faith, meaning nobody should be forced to go into Jannah. Nobody should be forced to go into Jannah. They should choose to go into Jannah. They should be given the option. Would you like to go to Jannah? Sounds like a good thing. What do I need to do? This is what you need to do. Like when we find out that some jobs are going. So we know some friends who are out of work. So we say, oh, you're looking for a job? Yeah, okay, well, this is what you need to do. This is an application. You've got to fill this in. You've got to take over there. You've got to do this. So the question that we've got to put to people is, do you want to go to Jannah? Yes, no, okay, fine. How are you going to force somebody to go to Jannah when he's telling you, I don't want to go? So once he says, yes, I want to go to Jannah, say, okay, this is the way now. Now I'll show you the way. So la ikraha fi din, there's no compulsion. But once a person has accepted, this is also because now, unfortunately, we've all become sort of self-made scholars. So when we go to the Quran now, and we try to understand the Quran itself. Obviously we can't, so we go to an English translation, which is written by a person. So he's his own interpretation now. And we look at it and we think, look, they say there's no compulsion in religion. So if I don't want to pray, I shouldn't have to pray. There's no compulsion. If I don't want to fast, I shouldn't have to fast. If I don't want to go for Hajj, because there's no compulsion. Why is there compulsion? Why are we always enjoining on our children to do this and this and this? That's compulsion. This is in reference to accepting the deen. Once the deen has been accepted, there are rules. If you want to join your local golf club, if you want to go join your local golf club, they don't come knocking on your door, drag you out and say, right, you have to join this golf club. They give you the choice. Do you want to join this golf club? And this is what we offer for you. We offer you this, we offer you that, we offer you this, we offer you that. And you say, yes, sounds like a good plan. Right, these are the rules. Yeah, these are the rules. This is the uniform. This is what you have to wear. These are the times you turn up. This is how much you're going to have to pay. You can't do this on the golf course. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't. If you say, oh, I'm not going to play by those rules, it's not a problem. We won't give you membership. So in the same way, once we join the family of Islam, once we made that decision, we're not forced to, but once we make that decision, then we have to abide by the rules. Like everything else has rules. قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. Indeed, he has clarified, or the rushd, the guidance, the true guidance has been clarified from the ghayy, the deviance. فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالطَّاغُوتِ. So those who disbelieve in taghut, the shayateen, the false deities, all those things which are set up in retaliation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَيُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ, and they believe in Allah, فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْأُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى, then they have grasped onto the firm grasp. They've held on to something. Their faith is protected. And we talked about this faith. لَا انْفِسَامَ لَهَا وَاللَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Allahu waliyyul ladhina amanu. And this verse itself should give happiness to a believer. It should give happiness to a believer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying is that Allah is the protector of those who believe. He is their wali. He is their protector. يُخْرِجُهُمْ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ. He takes them out from the darknesses to the light. Interesting that zulumat is plural and light is singular, zulumat is plural, and nur is singular. Why? Because there's only one path of guidance. Yeah? But there are many paths of deviation. There's only one path of guidance. So Muslims don't profess, I had to check this out, so I'm not going to act clever, an omnistic view. Omnistic means that all religions are equal and they all lead to God. Muslims don't adopt that. That does not mean that we disrespect people of other faith. That's their choice. We've just seen already, la ikraha fi din. People should be free to choose what they want to be. If they wish to be a Christian, that's their choice. If they wish to be a Jew, that's their choice. If they wish to be an atheist, that's their choice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them that choice. Forget whether we decide to give somebody that choice or not. Allah is giving them that choice. Why? Because they have to decide that they wish to go to Jannah. But we do not then say that all paths lead to God. Only one path leads to God. Only one path leads to Allah. That is Islam. That is accepting the religion of Islam and accepting Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the final prophet who was sent to the whole of mankind across the whole planet up until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Has to accept those terms. If they don't accept those terms, if there's any doubt, if there's any confusion, then it is one of the dhulumat. It is one of the darknesses. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاءُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ. As for those who deny Allah, those who work against Allah, those who make plots and plans against Allah, then their guardian, their protector is the Taghut. What do the Taghut do? يُخْرِجُونَهُمْ مِنَ النُّورِ إِلَى الظُّلُمَاتِ. What they do is they take you out from the light and give you all these alternatives. So we had a conversation that nowadays a lot of workplaces and places of education are doing this moments of, what do they call it? Yani, Sajid bhai? Mindfulness. Mindfulness, where let's all just say, close your eyes. You can make a noise if you want, or you don't have to make a noise, and just reflect. Because this is now being brought that they know that the human fitrat requires a belief in a higher power. They accept that, but they set up another zulumat. Let's give an alternative to that. Let's give an alternative to salah. They know the body needs, the soul needs salah. They know that. But if they say, oh, believe in Allah, then that undermines everything. So give alternative theories. Let's give alternative pathways. أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون ألم تر إلى الذي حاج إبراهيم في ربه. Do you not see? This is the folly of the arguments that are being put forward. So an example is given, that do you not see to that being that debates or debated with Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam with regards to his Rabb. That an atahu Allahul mulk, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given him great power, great kingdom, great dominion, Nimrud obviously. إذ قال Ibrahim, when Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam said, Rabbi alladhi yuhyi wa yumit. So he's saying, what is this God that you are referring to? Who is this God? Who is this God other than me? So Ibrahim explains. He says that being that gives life and that gives death. So this is the arrogance, you see, when arrogance is there, instead of hearing it and trying to reflect over what was said and contemplating over it, arrogance will naturally get defensive. When a person is arrogant, he will naturally get defensive. And when he gets defensive, he will just retort. So he says, oh, I give life and I give death. So two people who are on death row, one person he has executed, the other person he lets go free. There you go, I proved it. I also give life and death. Qāl Ibrahim Islam responds. That he understands, okay, this is the level of this person's argument. So he says, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْتِ بِالشَّمْسِ مِنَ الْمَشْرِقِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always brings the sun to rise from the east. فَأْتِ بِهَا مِنَ الْمَغْرِبِ. Okay, prove that you are equal to God and bring the sun from the west. Obviously now he's snookered, isn't he, as they say. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. So now he's speechless. He has no argument in response to this. So what happens then when a person who's arrogant and can't respond gets violent? Now you have to shut that person up. Now you have to kill that person, which is what they try to do next. وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِ الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Allah does not guide the zulm people. أَوْ كَالَّذِي مَرَّ عَلَى قَرْيَةٍ. Or like that person who is traveling by a qarya, a city, and this is Al-Quds, yani Jerusalem. وَهِيَ خَاوِيَةٌ عَلَىٰ أُرُوشِهَا, and it was tumbled down on its roof. And this was after Nebuchadnezzar had come and laid a siege and destroyed Al-Quds. And this is Uzair alayhi salatu wasalam, who's going past at that time. And he sees that it's all destroyed, all broken, smashed to pieces. So he just, out of curiosity, says, قَالْ أَنَّا يُحْيِي هَذِي اللَّهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. This complete city, nobody lives here anymore. It's desolate, it's empty, everybody's moved away. How is their life going to return to this place? فَأَمَاتَهُ اللَّهُ مِئَةَ عَامٍ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him death for 100 years. ثُمَّ بَعَثَهُ, and then he resurrects him. قَالَ كَمْ لَبِثَّ. Then he's asked, how long do you think you've been dead for? قَالَ لَبِثْتُ يَوْمًا وَبَعْدَ يَوْمٍ. Why? Because when he was traveling by, it was sort of, the sun was out, it was early morning, and now it looks like the sun is setting. So he thinks, okay, it's been about roughly a day. I've fallen asleep. Obviously happens. I fell asleep, I've got up. قَالَ بَلْ لَبِثَّ مِئَةَ عَامٍ. No, you've been asleep for 100 years. فَانْظُرْ إِلَىٰ طَعَامِكَ وَشَرَابِكَ لَمْ يَتَسَنَّ. Now look towards your food and water. Food and water lasts for 3-4 days before you got to hang on, kid. You're hanging on. Your eyes are going. You just hang on. Nearly there. Help him. So look at your food and water. It is exactly how you left it. Lam yatasana. It's not aged at all. Wanzur ila himarik. But however, look at your donkey. Look at your donkey. What happened to the donkey? The donkey had died, the flesh had gone, the bones had even started to deteriorate. So the thing which should have still been relatively okay has deteriorated, and the thing which should have deteriorated is not. That shows that it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who deteriorates these things. But He places His asbab through these things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring rain without clouds. But does He bring rain without clouds? Not usually. Not usually. If He wants to prove a miracle, yes, He will. But He will always place asbab. He has the laws of physics, the laws of biology, the laws of chemistry in order to make this world work. Every time you pick something up and you drop it, gravity will take effect and it will fall to the ground. But does Allah have capacity that if I put an apple here and I let go and it stays suspended there? Of course He can. This is what we refer to as the karamat of the awliya and the mu'jizat of the anbiya, where it goes against the laws of physics, where it goes against the laws of chemistry, where it goes against the laws of biology. This is going against the laws of chemistry. Something which has been left for so long should have gone off, should have deteriorated. It's not. Yet a creature which should have been relatively okay has. Wanzur ila himarik. Look towards your donkey. وَلِنَجْعَلَكَ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. And we're going to make this as a sign for the people. Wanzur ila al-izam. Look at his bones. كَيْفَ نُنْشِزُهَا. And as he saw, the bones of the animal came together until the bones took shape. The flesh reappeared until the animal's flesh appeared. The skin reappeared until that donkey was exactly how he had seen it as he thought earlier in the day. فَلَمَّا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ. When he saw this, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring this donkey back to life, then populating a city is easy. Populating a city is easy. This is a dead animal. قال أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير. وإذ قال إبراهيم alayhi salam, again out of curiosity, asks أرني كيف تحيي الموتى. Because this is one of the things that we really struggle to accept. A life after death. This is the one thing. If we accept life after death, we would be the best of believers. Yeah? Easily. If you literally believed absolutely 110% that when you die there is a new life, you would literally not do anything else, wouldn't you? You'd just be worshipping all day, because you know that it doesn't matter if I don't have a job. It doesn't matter if I don't have a house. It doesn't matter if I don't have a car. Oh, look what I'm going to have in Jannah. You know, okay, I'll have a tough life. Mrs. will shout at me. Okay, but, you know, how long am I live for? A month, a year, 5 years, 10 years? I'm going to die. So I might as well go out like this. So he says, وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّ أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. How do you give life to the dead? So Allah SWT responds, He says, أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ قَالَ أَوَلَمْ تُؤْمِنْ. Don't you believe? قال بلى, no, of course I believe. ولكن, however, ليطمئن قلبي. I want to give the extra level of contentment to my heart. قال فخذ أربعة من الطير. So take 4 different types of birds. فصرهن, tame them so that they can come and sit in your hand. Tame them so that they come and sit in your hand, that they feel comfortable around you, they're not frightened around you. ثم اجعل على كل جبل منه جزءا ثم ادعهن يأتينك سعيا. Then slaughter them, all 4 of them. Chop the birds up, mix it all up. Then take these and put them on top of those 4 mountains, 4 hills that are around you, and you stand in the middle with the heads of the birds in your hand. Now call them. So he calls them. As he does, the birds' flesh all fly up over the mountains and then shing, 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 shing. Obviously, I don't know if those sound effects are there, those are mine. And the bird forms fully above each mountain. Then they all come and lift their heads out of his hand, and they're now full alive again. What is Allah going to continue trying to demonstrate to us? The life after death. The life after death. If he can give us life when we were nothing. When we were nothing. We all know copy and paste is easy. We've all done it. All those who got caught for plagiarism. Don't put your hand up, we know who you are. It's the original artwork or the original text or the original writing that is admirable, because you think, wow, this is beautiful. But for you to take it, change a few words, change and to but, and a few things like that, and then resubmit it, that was easy. That was easy. They say Pakistanis are very good at what? Not necessarily being creative, but copying everything that everyone else does. So if you got Nike, then you got bike. If you got Puma, then you got Boomer. Might be slightly different, cheaper. But how quickly, within a short space of time, there will be an equivalent version available within a day or 2. So this is what he's demonstrating again and again. Now, these are verses of the Quran. This is why we have to be so careful when we make statements when we don't know what is in the Quran. That am I saying something which is going against an ayat of the Quran? If you say something which goes against an ayat of the Quran and you are unaware of it, one can be excused for ignorance. But if you become aware of it, that person goes out of the fold of Islam. Because a verse of the Quran is mutawatir. A person has to bring iman on every verse of the Quran. He has to believe on every single verse of the Quran to remain as a Muslim. So there, one can't say, oh, these are like kind of made up, They have to believe this happened. They have to believe this. This is a definition of a Muslim. This is a definition of a mu'min. But because we're so detached from the Quran, because we're not aware of what's in there, and because we've got a big mouth, we're always talking and giving opinions. When we should button it up until we know what is out there, until we know what's in the Quran, until we know what the Prophet ﷺ, because it's not just restricted to the Quran. We're not Quranists. We are Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. What does that mean? A Quranist is somebody who says, I only go by what the Quran says. The Prophet ﷺ says that you have to be Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, meaning that you go according to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ as well as the Sunnah of the Khulafa Rashideen. And Jama'ah means the congregation of the believers. That is Jama'ah. That is the Jama'ah. That's why we use that phrase. Some obviously use that phrase a lot more than others, but we all use that phrase. Wa'alam anna Allah azizun hakim. We'll stop there inshallah because I know it's close to bedtime. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.